This video is about configuring 802.1x in Commando Marshall C3500 series routing switch. 802.1x is a IEEE standard that defines port-based access control (PNAC) for wired and wireless networks. It provides an authentication mechanism for devices seeking to access LAN. During the authentication process, switch complete the multiple message exchange between the end devices and the authentication servers, while 802.1x authentication is in process. Only 802.1x traffic and control traffic can transmit in the network. The 802.1x authentication method only works if end devices is 802.1x enabled. But many single purpose network devices such as printer, IP phones do not support 802.1x protocol. You can configure a MAC radius authentication as on the interface that are connected to the network devices that do not support 802.1x and for which you want to allow to access the LAN. When an end device that is not 802.1x enabled is detected on the interface, the switch transmits the MAC address of the device to the authentication server. The server then tries to match MAC address with a MAC address in its database. If MAC address matches an address in the list, the end device is authenticated. So how to configure in Commando C3500 series switch? So for that, configure terminal dot1x system authentication control, and then after this go to any of the interface ETH-0- let us say 20 and switch port mode access and dot1x port dot1x port control auto. So this is a very straightforward simple method to do it. You can also have the radius server host configured. Let us say I want to have radius server. So I will exit from the interface mode and go to the global configuration mode. Radius server host, let us say I want 10.10.10.10 and second host I can have 100. So this and we can have the radius server key as commando. So show dot1x will show the configured 802.1x port based authentication methods and the corresponding radius servers which we have configured. We can also verify with show dot1x interface ETH-0-20. So this will show if I enable the port and it is on, then it will show the port enabled true and other things configured. We can also enable dot1x on the routed ports. This example will show how it will be doing on the routed ports. So I will firstly show the show IP route, and now I can see that ETH-0-9 is my routed port to the other networks. So I will configure that for dot1x. So with the command configure terminal, then interface ETH-0-9 and then dot1x port control auto, and I can verify these things, configure things. By giving the command show dot1x interface ETH-0, so it is now showing true, and port control auto, port status is unauthorized, so I can have the condition for authorizing force mode. So configure terminal interface ETH-0-9, and I will say dot1x port control force authorize. So this will be forcefully authorized, or I can have the force unauthorized also. We can also choose the it is now the authorized force authorized states, and now it is not it is showing false, bridge detect is false. So we can also choose a port control mode as a force authorized or unauthorized or auto. The final configuration should be override the previous one. So dot1x accounting can be used to keep track of network usage after user is authenticated. So dot1x accounting is disabled by default. You can enable it by giving the globally configured command, like for configure terminal dot1x accounting mode, and I can specify the mode radius. We can also have the accounting real-time accounting to make the device send real-time accounting request to the servers periodically. The server will keep the accounting users only when the receive real-time accounting request, so that the abnormal accounting can be avoided. When the server cannot receive accounting, stop packets from the sending from the device. Meanwhile, user can configure max time of the real-time accounting with no response, and the action when the real-time accounting fails. By default, the max times of real-time accounting with no response is set to 3, and the user is allowed to be online after real-time accounting failure. So I can change this also, dot1x accounting real-time, let us say I want 60, and dot1x accounting interim fail 2, and I can have interim fail, I can have online or offline or max times. So let us say I want offline, so we can configure these things, and we can also allow the max times also or onlines also. We can also set the optional parameters for timers for a radius server, which can set to wait for the reactivating radius server, that is set for the maximum failed radius request sent to the server. So we can set the timeout values if the no response from the radius server. So for that, radius server dead time I can set, let us say 10, then radius server retransmit 5, and radius server timeout, let us say 10. I can also have the max request, so and protocol versions for dot1q. So for that, I have to go to the interface, let us say interface ETH-0-1, and I want to have dot1x max. We can configure various things here. So max request, Quest VLAN, handshake, max user, protocol mode, protocol version. So this is very important, protocol version, and we can have this version 1 or 2 of EAPOL. So let us say I want version 1. So by default version 2 is configured and version 1. So I will have to dot1x configured on this interface first, and then we can enable these versions on that port. So this way we can configure dot1x in our commando switches. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you.